Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Oh my gosh, the journey for us to get here into this very moment. How
Well,
exciting.
now,
Yes. Thank you so much for joining me.
thank you, Nikki. It's a delight to be here and with your community. Thank you.
Yes. Here we grow. It's been a minute since I had an interview, and as I was prepping in the small ways that I do, because as I mentioned, this is just it's just conversations that are so beautiful that I love to have recorded. I got so excited and that little like butterfly of nervousness, but that's excitement to me and just feeling into that. So today I have Dolly Grace, and my first prompt is, what are you growing through in
Oh,
the moment? I know that's a loaded question. So
I know. I was like, right out of the gate here. What am I growing through? Well, I'm just going to bridge this straight into where we're headed. Like, the last 5 years has been an unraveling for me of how money has had power over me in my life. And I am literally growing into this place where I am this incredible power in my life, and money is simply a byproduct of how I'm showing up in the world. And to feel that kind of shift in my entire being after being frozen in terror around money my
Mm.
whole life is just an absolute miracle. I'm like, whoa, what's happening? Where did this come from? It's actually working. So
We're doing
this is definitely my growth edge.
Ah,
It's been an
wow.
amazing journey.
Wow. And here you are, and you've been. So let's just step back a little and start with reclamation. And if you feel called to tell a little bit of the journey, what got you to reclamation, or you want to just launch with this program and this incredible word, like even you bringing reclamation to me, I'm saying that word more often, and I'm like, boom. So let's dive into reclamation.
Thank you for that segue too, Nikki. Reclamation became this outpouring literally that came through me through a series of running my original group program, which is called the One Experiment.
Mm.
And then I followed that up with another program for this small, sweet, intimate group called Treasure Hunt. And the One Experiment is all about being the one for ourselves. And when we are the one, it allows the other ones that are the one to show up and meet us, right? We're not looking for something outside of us to fulfill us. And then in Treasure Hunt, it's a whole journey into understanding our relationship patterns. And coming out of that, I was going through, I had just like really entered this incredible internal initiation inside of myself that came through a lot of years of psychedelic work and a really powerful ayahuasca ceremony, just like sent me into this internal initiation where my world started getting rearranged in rapid time. And I was really being shown the creator power that is inside of me. And I wasn't allowed to talk to anybody about it. It was like a very like, this is for you. Stay present with yourself. And as this thing continued to evolve, there was this next step of coming out of Treasure Hunt. And I knew it was going to be called Reclamation. And I started to have a sense of a lot of the content that was going to be evolved and come through me. And it was such a fascinating process because I'd be like, okay, reclamation's happening. Everybody's registered. This 2-day workshop. And I'd go to sit down to write an outline and I would get cut off. The voice inside of me would be like, no, you need to go on the trail. You're not writing this down because it's inside of you. And so the first time I led reclamation was in April of 2024. And it was just this, it was one of the top 5 best experiences of my life. Like, channel was open. Here it is. I got to share things about this initiation I'd been going through internally. And the women were just like, whoa. And the best line out of that whole experience was like one woman who I've been working with for about 5 years now, who's also become a dear friend. She was just like, this changes everything. And to be watching these women, especially of that first group that came through it after a year, has been really incredible. And so I've led that workshop 7 more times since that. The universe was like, this thing, keep doing it on repeat, no outline. And it's been this incredible process because I'm in a co-creative experience. I'm not fixed into something. And so I'm letting the core content come through me, but a lot of the additional stuff is like, who's here now? What does this group need? And it's just been this really beautiful evolution. And then it's been evolving to be more of like, oh, now here's this piece about money. And look at how this power inside of you is now returning to you instead of being outsourced to money. And so a lot of the core foundation is it's the same no matter what part of our life we're working in, but now it's really getting streamlined and honed into how has money had power over us, especially as women. How have we been sourcing our power outside of us when really the power lives right here?
Yeah.
So that's the how did we get to here?
That's all, just this little thing. Wow. Are you finding that this coincides with the feminine rising and the divine feminine activating in the human existence?
I yeah, I think there's a lot here. Not and also like really entering this age of Aquarius, which is all about people really hitting their awakening and enlightening the planet.
Mm,
Right? Women stepping back into their power,
mm,
starting to energetically embody all of the things that we were conditioned out of to have to live in a masculine based world.
mm,
Women really owning their power with their body, their menstrual cycles. How do I be in the world as a woman and not have to conform to masculine structures and
mm,
expectations? To really be like, all of us are one, all of us are equal.
mm,
What's here for me to actualize and live into inside of me?
mm.
It's definitely like a synergistic
Yeah,
co-creative experience, and it's really beautiful to be witnessing in it in the women around me.
yeah. And is there, I've sensed this ability to reclamate and find our power softly, like not over controlling, not overbearing. Tell me a little bit about how you've experienced that or seen that in reclamation so far.
I want to touch on something that you just alluded to. That's a really beautiful, nuanced experience about energetic power.
Mm,
That need to control tends to come from this external idea of how power is utilized. We
mm,
see that in a lot of the conditioned society, especially with money. Oh, your job and your title
mm,
gives you some kind of worth
mhm,
and value. And I'm going to tell you, as the company, what you're worth to me, what value you have to this organization, right? And that's a lot of externalized power.
mhm,
We have a lot of power given to us or granted to us by a title, by our role, by our leadership. Oh, you're a manager, you're a director, you're a supervisor, you're a CEO. There's all of this language
mhm,
that's externalized power or control.
mhm,
Where when we switch into the creative power inside of us, it's an infinite well that comes from what we are made of.
mm,
There's nothing to justify it. It's not tied, like we have it because we're already worthy. We have it because we're already enough. We have it because we were made in the likeness of our creator.
mm,
And every single one of us has it. Right? In this journey of awakening is like coming back into that home inside of us to actually like open our hearts and let that light shine and be like, hi world. right? And from that place, when we are radiating the infinite light that we are in our power. And for us as women, we have a real sweet benefit called ovulation that just like brings it out of us even more.
Mm,
Bringing that into the feminine, like the more we own that power and we recognize that power and we wield that power with intention, we can do epic amounts of good for ourselves, for our families, for our community, and for humanity.
wow. Mm, really
So
good.
let me tie this back in. You had this very sweet question about like the softness,
Mm,
right? It is when we are reclaiming our power from what's inside of us, it
mm,
has a totally different energetic signature than externalized power,
mm,
right? And it can be this just like the moments of presence. So the full name of the workshop has been Reclamation, One Present, because this one present moment is the only place I can reclaim my power. And
mm,
it comes from being here now, not letting the past control me,
mhm,
letting my breath guide me.
mhm,
And so those moments of soft reclaiming are like, oh, I feel the past creating tension or discomfort inside of me. I'm
mm,
just gonna breathe through it.
yeah,
And all of a sudden we come back here. Like
mm,
there's a real beautiful softness. And as we start to embody this even more, it becomes more of how we be in the world and how we present ourselves in the world. And
mm,
it lets other people have a whole new experience of other people's power, but also more importantly, their own power.
yeah. What are some of the layers that you see people, the walls that we come up against when we're going on this internal journey and reclaiming that power and finding the one within? What's what comes up?
Yeah, well, I think some of the big things that come up are all of the the limitations we've been trapped inside of. I'm
Mm,
not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not valued. I don't matter.
mm,
I can't let my light shine because that person and that person and that person will be insecure or because what might they say?
mm,
And we live, and that whole structure is the fear-based illusion
mhm,
breaking free of.
mm,
Uh, the big T and little t traumas that we've experienced that
mm,
give us some illusioned idea of how to control our safety
mm,
versus owning our power and owning our safety in every moment. And a lot of that comes through how we use the sky.
yeah.
Are we in right relationship to our mind, to our thoughts,
Mm,
to our creative power?
mhm, yeah. It's like taking that ownership back too. Do you find that people stay in what feels like the smaller boxed in controlled area because it's the known? Do you
Yeah,
feel like getting outside of that wall and breaking wide open? It's like, oh, the unknown. Even though I know it'll be good for me once I get through it, it's like that through it, not around it kind of mentality. But man, that takes some strength.
it does. It takes real strength to navigate that and to recognize that the known is often what we go to over and over because of the conditioned responses of our body, our nervous system, right? So this practice of coming to be present with our body, with our breath, to not let the things we're feeling make our decisions, but to
Mm,
know that I get to make my decisions,
mm,
not the past,
mm,
future I want to create over there. Like that thing gets to create my decisions now, not this thing that happened last week, last year, the first 3 years or first 7 years of my life,
yeah.
right? And really recognizing that the wall is the illusion, right?
Mm,
Boxes we think we're contained within, they don't exist.
Mm.
Like, it's not about thinking outside of the box, it's about the box doesn't exist.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can be an absolute mind-blowing concept in the beginning. And then once you grasp it, you go like, oh yeah, okay. Wow. What happens in these moments? Because I can feel that a lot of these concepts can be really new for people. And the reclamation, the listening to the mind, the calming of the body, the facing the first 7 years of life, the big T, the little T, all of this is really coming to surface beautifully, and it can be really overwhelming. What does it look like when we start to really start feeling our feelings, especially like anger? And this adjustment to, oh, I have been controlled. Now what? Because it feels like that might be one of the big walls. Like, what the fuck? Like, how have I been in this whole time? So do you see that coming to light when because I want to bring this like feminine, we're rising, but there's this like, too behind it.
Yeah, you ask a really great question, Nikki. And it's really interesting to learning how these structures work, that there's this structure of being stuck.
Mm,
There's this structure that keeps us in patterns on repeat that we don't want, that keep presenting things. And we're like, really, that thing again? And then there's a structure, the structure of creation that actually moves our life forward.
mm,
And as we're navigating this awakening process,
mm,
sometimes it's not actually about feeling the feelings. It's about breathing through whatever it is and simply letting it go,
mm,
right? That it's actually so much more simple. Our mind just wants to attach to the story, to the things, to the rightness, the wrongness, a good, bad, the judgment, the personal preferences.
mm,
And that's really the work, is letting all of that no longer be connected inside of us.
mm,
And as we do that work, and as we're truly in the present moment, like declaring, I will not be a prisoner of my past experience. I will not be a prisoner of my emotions.
mm,
I can just let it go. And
mm,
then there is those times where the emotion comes up, and feeling it come up and release from us is part of what's freeing up our energy so
mm,
that we can actually use that energy for creation. Yeah.
mm,
So there's this
mm.
this finding our harmony in doing that work, right? And that's what's really different about reclamation in general, because it's not necessarily about doing the work. It's really about understanding, how have I been operating in these two structures? And
Mm.
how do I actually switch into the structure of creation and keep myself here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very different type of workshop.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not this like step-by-step workbook and we're going to do the methodical tasks and it's going to get you to this point. And I loved that about your original description when we first started talking about this is it's self-guided in a sense and you're there to hold space and massage it into each area and open it. And what is that process? Are you able to explain it a little bit, or is it really just intuitive flow when you're in there and you allow people to open?
That's great questions. So there is like the framework, right? We kind of present the framework. We shine the light of awareness on like what's been happening and what's been happening over here that people are doing maybe in one or two areas of their life in the structure of creation. And then they're going, why I can do it here. Why can't I do it over there? It's because we're not operating in the same structure. And one of the underlying principles is that structure determines behavior. So if we're in the structure of stuck, guess what behaviors we get? More stuck,
Mhm.
more patterns on repeat. And if we're in the structure of creation, that behavior is creative patterns that continually move through us and take us where we want to go. So
Mm.
we set up that framework and then we start to utilize what people are actually experiencing. What are they presenting as what we call their present state?
Mm,
Because that starts to illuminate what structure are we in?
mm,
How are we relating to the things in our life? And we can start to literally, like, we learn how to start mapping this stuff
mm,
into these structures. And as soon as we put pen to paper and write it down, people are like, oh my God, it's so easy. And now I have to do this thing to be over here. But
mm,
it's so much easier to move my life forward because I'm not spinning over here anymore.
mm,
So it really is this like co-created
mm.
what's being presented, trusting that everybody that comes together in each reclamation is exactly the perfect group and
Mhm.
that everybody's teaching each other. And when one person's willing to do the work, we start to shine the light on it in people because we make everything about ourselves. And it's a really sweet, non-confrontational way when somebody else is willing to do the work in front of the group, we
Mm,
find ourselves in their story. We find ourselves in their experience. We make it about us. And all of a sudden, everybody's having these sweet breakthrough insight aha moments.
mm. And they're so held.
They're so held. And then they have practical things that really are easy to shift into their everyday life experience.
Yeah.
I have a new way to think about this. I have a new way to relate to this.
Mm,
It becomes not about the little self-help
mm, mhm,
is over here. It's
mm,
about the capital S self-help. I'm helping my true self actualize the light and the creator power inside of me.
mm. By finding that true self first.
And we don't have to find it first. It's
Mm,
a pathway to it.
mm,
We're learning how to flip the switch on that structure of creation so
mm,
that that creator comes through us more and more and becomes our way of living versus living in the shadow of the little self
mm,
inside of that those boxes or that prison we've built.
mm. Let's go into that prison. Let's say that there's this woman who is now hearing about reclamation. That's the intuitive voice is starting to whisper, and she is in that where she's 9 to 5 and kids and construct of money is heavy and hard, and maybe relationship isn't totally flowing, or she's newly not in relation, like there she's in that.
Yeah.
What does that look like for her in this process of stepping into this? Where does she start to get to open?
Mm. So let's really identify where she is now,
Yeah.
right? How is she feeling when she feels time bound
Mm,
and freedom bound by
mm,
a job that she may not want to be in anymore?
mm,
But it's the thing that provides the money for housing, food, insurance, car, everything,
mm,
right? How much power does that money have over her in that moment? In
mm,
every moment, in every decision, in every paycheck,
mm,
right? That's a lot.
mhm,
And then you bring in more about my relationship's not the way I want it to be, or I just exited a relationship. How do I actually create the relationship I want?
mm,
What if I do the same thing again? Are there any good humans out there that I can be in relationship with? Like, there's a lot. How much are we questioning how we've done things in the past? Right? There's a lot of living by what's already happened,
mm,
which is part of where we start to switch during reclamation.
mm,
Starting to switch from what has happened to what we are creating coming towards us.
mm,
And as we're in this experience, what else are she hitting up against? Enoughness, worthiness.
mm,
Do I have the ability to go out on my own? Do I have the ability to do what wants to come through me? Do I have the ability to follow my inner light?
mm,
I have this thing that lights me up, but I don't believe it can make me money.
mm,
Right? And that one thing right there, Nikki, is what I want to come to again and again throughout our conversation, but also in money reclamation, is money is a byproduct of creation,
Mm,
right? When we take the focus off of money and focus on what wants to come through us,
mm,
our whole experience changes.
mm,
We create for the love of creating the thing.
mm,
And whatever other things that creation flows to us in abundance from love, appreciation, gratitude, joy, delight, money, we just simply get to receive it all
mm,
because we created the thing for the love of the thing.
mm,
And it's a really incredible way to start to depersonalize our experience of money. So much of us have an experience of money that is so encoded in us because we have been taught that money means something about us.
mm,
Use these shitty languages like net worth.
mm,
No, your net worth has nothing to do with money. We call that net wealth.
mm, mm,
Your worth is innate and exponentially infinite because you exist,
mm,
right? Worth and money not actually belonging in the same conversation.
mm,
Same thing about value. Like we talk a lot about this in reclamation. Value is in the perception of the perceiver.
mm,
Value is in the receiver.
mm,
How do people take what is available to them, receive it, and actually utilize it in their life to receive value from it?
mm,
The way we might value a blender or our car or a workshop we participate in.
mm,
The value we receive is truly up to us. It's our ROI to actualize. I
mm,
cannot guarantee the value anybody will get from reclamation,
mhm,
but I see the impact it's making in those that are showing up to go, wow, I'm using this one thing and look at my life.
mm,
It's so much different. Right.
mm. Seems as though that creative channel is turned off when we're quite young. And when I started hearing about creativity, I immediately think art or something of that nature. Can we dive in more to creativity and what that looks like and how you ignite that within yourself again? Because I think if it's turned off for so long, you might not even know. What am I here to create? What do I like to create? What feels good to create? Because I've been so in this box for so long. How do we start bringing that to the surface?
This is such a beautiful question. And let's really look at the difference between the word create, creativity, and creator,
Mm,
right? Like these subtle nuances of language.
mhm,
We do tend to associate the word creativity with art
mhm,
because we've been programmed to think that.
mhm,
Really, every single thing we do every day, from the thoughts that we think to the actions that we take, are acts of creation. And so when we start to recognize, like, I'm actively creating my life moment, by thought,
mm,
we start to have a sense of the power that we actually own, right? And that doesn't necessarily have anything to do what we would term creativity.
mm,
I'm creating the present moment right here with you now, having this conversation. This is an act of creation. It's a podcast, it's going to go out into the world, right?
mhm,
Money reclamation is one of my acts of creation. It is this thing that's coming into the world.
mm,
When we make ourselves a meal, that's an act of creation.
mhm,
When we sit down and we write our a note to that's just like our to-do list for the next day,
mhm,
that's still an act of creation, right? So we're starting to notice like every little thing. So when we feel like, oh, I'm not creating, This is a really beautiful reframe to be like, oh, no, actually, everything I'm doing is creating because it's creating the life I'm experiencing,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So to come into this awareness of if, not if, because everything is an act of creation,
mm,
how might I bring a little bit more mindfulness,
mm,
my day to day, my moment to moment?
mm,
What would I like to create in this experience?
mm,
Mhm.
mm,
And that one question
mm,
can really be a powerful, like, catalyst for people's lives.
mm,
What do I desire to create for my experience
mhm,
right now?
mhm,
Oh, I'd like to take a drink of water.
mhm,
Like it really starts to become that specific. And
mhm,
from there, it's like sometimes we have to drill down into the really specific things and then let our energy expand back out
mm,
to the greater things.
mhm,
Oh, and now because I'm present with, I'm always creating, that gets to be this generative energy that now is like, oh, I'm actually creating things through me.
mm,
And that's where our access to real wealth lies.
mm, mhm. That's net worth.
That, yeah, that's owning, right? This. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think what reigns so loud right there is I'm already creating. I'm already doing it. So what's the shift? Even if it's like a tiny shift that way, instead of drinking coffee in the morning, you're drinking water because you know it fuels your body different. And then all of a sudden you're creating this whole new feeling first thing in your morning. Or I'm going to bed a little earlier because I'm getting better sleep. It's like these little micro adjustments that is so cool to put into perspective because it's like you're almost when you get into this creator role, you're looking at a blank canvas going, what in the world? But can I just start with like what color do I want to use and how am I feeling and tuning in. In yoga, I say a lot as within, so without. And so when it creates that energy within, how do I want to feel? Then we start to act it out in a way
Yeah,
and create in moment to moment.
exactly.
Mm,
And you elicited and articulated some really beautiful micro, like every choice every day is an act of creation. Our choices create our reality.
mm,
So to notice, like, oh, I want to have better quality sleep. I want to feel real well rested.
mm,
We're actively starting to choose the experience we want to create for ourselves. Okay, so how do I do that?
mm,
Oh, I'm going to have a bedtime routine.
mm,
Oh, that means that, I cut off food by 6 o'clock and I cut off liquid by 8 o'clock and I'm in my wind down routine and no screens and taking the time. For me, like I like to be in bed at 9:15.
mm, mm,
That's my sweet spot.
mhm, mhm,
And then
mhm,
by doing that, I set myself up for success. I'm creating the experience I want, especially because I will often wake up between 3 and 4 and not be able to go back to sleep. And
mhm,
if I went to bed at 9:15 and I wake up at 3 or 4, I'm like, all right, I got enough sleep. Let's go. And then I sit down and I start, and I'm like fully functioning, creating with my computer, and like it's
mhm,
just coming through me. We're
mhm,
setting ourselves up for the experience we desire by making all of these little choices
mhm,
in support and honor of the experience we want to have.
mhm. I love that you're saying that because I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, you know what? What if the 9 to 5 is 9 p.m. to 5 a.m.? Like, that's the job. The new 9 to 5 is 9 p.m. sleep to 5 a.m. ish. And then boom, then the rest is open for creativity. And I always tell myself, I'm like, I can go to bed early and get up early. And then if I need a nap during the day, like it just opens up that whole it's just such a different way of living. And it really takes a commitment because it's not always easy. But that commitment and that consistency, and then all of a sudden you're feeling the wealth of energy in your own body. And in my experience, and what I'm honing in on is that energetic field is then magnetizing different experiences and different opportunities. And, if I'm dragging my feet and not feeling good and like eyes down, chest rolled in, like what am I really magnetizing into my life? When maybe if just better sleep, that alone could just open me up to the difference of opportunities that are available. And that to me is wealth. That to me is that abundance. And I would love to lean into abundance with you. Like, what is abundance? Like, how can we really hone in on this word and allow it to be a part of that reclamation process?
Yeah. Abundance. Well, I'm going to turn the question back to you.
Mhm.
And so this is one of the things that's really powerful. We all have our own experience of language,
Mm,
right?
mm,
So let's look at your definition or your frame, your reference for abundance, and we'll start there.
mm. Abundance feels like enough. This feels like I have enough, or maybe too much. No, not too much, but you know what I mean? That like overflowing of I'm abundant in anything. And I will say, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, at the beginning of some of this deeper processes for my own work, was like abundance was money. Like it had that direct connection to it. And when there was a lack, there was like a lack in all my life, and then a scarcity, and then the whole thing would just turn over and turn over and turn over. And I still go through that sometimes, of course, in my still processing of the work.
So navigating that human experience here. So this is part of why it's so powerful. Like, I'm going to stop real quick and encourage people before you listen further, stop the podcast and actually write down like what is your reference for abundance? What does it mean to you? What's the experience you have of abundance?
Mm,
Maybe even write down what happens with lack or scarcity, because this is going to start to really illuminate some things for you.
yeah,
And we can only shine light on it through each individual's perception and experience.
right.
That's what's so important, is to recognize we do not have a universal experience of lack or scarcity or abundance or money or
Mhm,
love or a
mhm,
hug or
mhm, mhm,
vanilla ice cream, right? Like we don't have the same frames. So when we understand what it is for us,
mhm,
that's where we start to make the change. You have to understand where you are right now
mhm,
with that experience,
mhm,
with that word.
mhm,
Okay, so pause, go
mhm,
write it down, and
mhm,
come back. And so, abundance for me, right? We're going to present another perspective here.
mhm,
Abundance for me means that there is more than enough everywhere, and
mhm,
it is already supplied by the universe,
mhm,
right? There's a really deep understanding and knowing I don't need money to buy groceries. I can walk down the street and pick fruit off trees in my neighborhood.
mhm,
I mean, I can do that too because I'm in California, right? I can grow a garden. There's things that I can do. I can go into nature and have a different relationship with the world around me, knowing what's edible.
mhm,
I could fish, I could hunt, I could gather. I
mhm,
live in a place where acorns are abundant, right? Like there is no scarcity of food available to me in my surroundings,
mhm,
right? So I think bringing that awareness in is really powerful, because so often we tie money to housing and food.
mhm,
The universe supplied the original shelter, caves, building things, using sticks and creating little wigwams, structures, and teepees. And covering them with leaves and all sorts of stuff, right? Like when we recognize like how much power just returned to you with that awareness, like, oh, right, nature provides it all. It's
Mhm.
already there for me. I
Mhm.
if my housing disappeared and the grocery store didn't exist, I would still be provided for.
Mhm.
So I find that to be a really reassuring place inside of myself as I navigate that experience. But then there's an abundance of water everywhere.
Mhm.
Yes, we want to utilize our systems to make that water clean enough and ingestible for us, but there's an abundance of it everywhere.
Mhm.
When we start to relate to our basic needs already being provided by the universe,
Mhm.
it's a whole different experience that allows like a different level of reprogramming.
Mhm.
A lot of people feel that when I present this to them, or they start to tap into, oh, right, there's more than enough.
Mhm.
So then abundance starts to filter out from us. When our basic needs are met, how else do we experience abundance?
Mhm.
One of the things that I love to say is what we appreciate appreciates.
Mhm.
It's one of the best return on investment we can make,
Mhm.
right? We do this in relationship. Sebastian and I appreciate each other every day,
Mhm.
including through the really challenging things.
Mhm.
Like, I appreciate you speaking your truth. I appreciate you showing up for yourself. I appreciate you navigating a really uncomfortable conversation together,
Mhm.
right? Because that's allowing our relationship with ourselves and
Mhm.
each other
Mhm.
and our family to appreciate even more.
Mhm.
And when we do that, that appreciation goes out into the community around us. Oh, wow, here comes an abundance of appreciation and goodwill and
Mhm.
good energy. So it's really tapping the energetic cycle of abundance,
Mhm.
right? Expressing our gratitude. Another way we share appreciation, when we express gratitude,
Mhm.
that is like such an incredible experience.
Mhm.
To express it, to receive it, to generate it, to be in the flow with it.
Mhm.
So we start to recognize like abundance is an energetic flow. Like, is the universe ever going to stop creating itself? The energy just keeps transforming and transmuting and transflowing. And it's just like, oh, and energy is never created nor destroyed. It is simply continually evolving. So,
Mhm.
the abundant nature of the universe, where we are a fractal of that,
Mhm.
we get to actualize that inside of ourselves.
Mhm.
Right? Here's my frame for abundance. This is my reference for abundance.
Mhm.
How different is that? And how now, Nikki, and everybody listening, how has your frame of abundance just evolved, changed?
Mhm. The thing that's coming up is being intentional with the word abundance too, because you can have an abundance of either side,
Yes.
So when we're getting clear on our intentions, like an abundance of good, clean water, like I think being clear on that too, because there's an abundance of things that aren't very healthy and happy and great for this world at the moment. And in life, in the whole existence of the earth, there's always been that. And at the same time, just hearing you say there's enough and reminding myself of that, it's like takes this pressure off because, and I would love to lean into that too. Like it seems like this lack and this scarcity is so natural. Or I'll speak for myself. It seems to be that like baseline. We're like, oh, back to lack. Shoot, I'm back here again. Okay, my food's getting low in my fridge. And I do, like, I get that little bit of like, oh, there's that scarcity feeling. And then I get to go navigate the grocery store and all the joys that come with that. And yeah, what is that? What is this? Is that in our human nature to be in a lack place? Is it to protect us? Like, where does that come from?
You've already tapped into multiple aspects of this. Well, let's really identify also the experience of lack or scarcity. What happens when you look in your fridge and you're not feeling the abundant flow? You're feeling the lack, you're feeling the scarcity.
Mm.
Talk me through what happens inside of you.
I feel stressed. There's a bit of a panic, like I need to do something about it now. And if I can't because I don't have the time or the space, or, it's that 5 o'clock on a Friday and you're not going to hit the grocery store, then it's like, then you get, I personally then start getting resourceful and digging deeper into the cabinets and maybe tapping into my own resourcefulness. Um, and adding a practice in that moment to go, there's enough. I can create. Like, woo, back to creation. Love
Yeah.
that. Divinely guided back to creation. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in that moment, it's like my head spins, I just am like, oh, what am I gonna eat? I don't have time, and it's stressful.
Yeah. And what happens inside of your body, right? Let's talk the somatic aspect of this.
Hmm.
This is our map home. This is
Hmm.
our map out of
Hmm.
the experience that we don't want to have.
Yeah, I feel a tightness.
And where does it have? I mean, you're already giving analog, right?
Yeah, like
You feel this. That's obvious.
yeah, I just feel like I want to just go within. My stomach turns a little. I'd say my heart's a little like more pattery, slower breathing, or I'm just like in a bit of a fight or flight feeling
And how often do you hold your breath when you're in that experience?
often.
A lot of us do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like, wait, I'm not even breathing. What's going on? Right.
Yeah.
So this becomes our guidance system. Oh, thanks for the communication.
Hmm.
Oh, great job, body, communicating what I'm currently creating inside of myself,
Hmm.
because that's the experience. So when we're going through that experience of lack or scarcity,
Hmm.
what else happens? It creates constriction inside of us.
Hmm.
And as within, so without, what are we doing externally when we feel that constriction internally?
Hmm. I would say I probably get cranky and short-tempered and reactionary, just like, ah.
And is there some gripping things outside, gripping for control, protecting what's mine? Oh, I have to protect my resources, my food, my money, my whatever it is. Right. And it's like, oh, and the more scarcity we experience, sometimes the harder we're gripping the stuff.
Mm, yeah.
Really, it's this practice of like learning to be with the experience and letting ourselves open back to creation, letting the energy move through us to flow through us.
Yeah.
We start to just learn lots of little small things that when we utilize them, start to add up to big results in our life.
Yeah.
Results that put us more into an abundance
Mm.
experience.
So put us there when we're short on money and rent is due. The fridge feels empty. Our body's contracting. Our brain is foggy. We're reactionary. And that creativity is blocked in that moment. What's the steps? Is it truly just the same tuning in, tapping in, taking a break? Because
Yeah.
I feel like if I'm short on money and I'm super worried about that, my creative juices and my ability to like recognize that I am abundant and have these abilities really stall out.
Yeah. And you're speaking exactly to what happens
Mm.
when we're stuck in scarcity or lack. We go fully into our left brain, into survival mode. Our analytical brain is taking over, and it becomes about survival.
Mm. Mhm.
We're stuck in a state of fight, flight, freeze, reacting. I need to be able to take care of this thing that I'm experiencing here in this human crazy skin suit. Now what? Oh shit. And when we have that experience, the very first thing we do is to stop and recognize it's only the experience of the present moment.
Mm.
And then we breathe.
Mhm.
until we can help downregulate our nervous system a little bit.
Yeah.
The more we can breathe, the more we activate neurochemistry inside of ourselves that pushes out the fight, flight, freeze hormones, which are cortisol and adrenaline.
Mm,
Cortisol and adrenaline, it's not a time to focus on creation.
mm,
When we are stressed, when we are in survivable, stop everything. You cannot create from that state. I mean, you can attempt to, but you'll create from that energy and
mm,
you'll get more of that energy because that's what you're creating from.
mm.
So it really is this practice of stop, breathe. Take yourself to a yoga class at Harmony with Nikki.
Plug.
Get yourself back
Yeah.
into your heart and then start to show up differently.
Mm,
Right? The very first thing we have to do is be right in our mind
mm,
because our mind is creating our experience.
mm,
That's where we have the ability to start to shift into the creator and to find creative solutions.
mm,
Tap in. It's so hard to tap into that creative experience when
mhm.
we're stuck in the survival mode.
And these patterns can be deep.
Mm.
I mean, when I think about my childhood and money, it was stressful.
Would you like to say more about your experience of money in your family?
Yeah, I had a big family. There was four of us kids, and my parents were doing their absolute best. And it was never enough, was really the message. And so that tends to be, and we made it, and we all got to do our things, and we weren't, yeah, I mean, we weren't poor by any means, and we weren't rich. It was just one of those things. We made it, and we grew up in a very rich place. Like the town around us had a lot of what seemed like money wealth in general. So there was a lot of comparison that went on in that journey. And um, yeah, it was easy to get tied up in, well, my friends are all driving this car or able to buy these clothes or, but at home it was, yeah, it was stressful and it was heavy and it was always a hard thing for both of my parents on that, them not knowing how to communicate about it and probably bringing patterns of their parents. And, it just seems like the lineage goes back so far. Um, and so I have to wonder if that creates if that's a built-in pattern as we come into adulthood. Is that what we find when we start to lean into this? Is that it's taking this huge step forward and going like, I'm ready to break this cycle?
We have our money imprint by age 7.
Wow.
Most of our imprints happen by age 7.
Wow.
We have already been encoded, programmed, conditioned.
Mm,
Welcome to life. Have
wow.
fun with your human experience.
Ah, yeah. From 7 on. I mean, geez.
And to speak to the lineage, this is the epigenetic factor. We
Mm,
come in pre-coded with the things from our ancestry.
mm,
So, how much lineage now do we need to also let go of?
oh, yeah.
Because it's truly been encoded into us. And there's incredible science behind all of this. We have the power to change that encoding. And
Mm,
every little bit of code tells what genes to turn on in our body,
mm,
what genes to turn off.
oh, yeah. And if I think back just 2 or 3 generations, that was famine and wars. And I mean, that was true survival. Sometimes I feel like I'm in survival and that was probably nothing comparatively. So knowing, is it 7 generations that we carry typically?
Please,
Ish, at least.
at least.
Yeah. Yeah. That was when I first started hearing about ancestral lineage patterns and traumas and I have started adding and the good things that we carry on, because I think that gets missed. Like there's so many great characteristics of our ancestors and our lineage that really doesn't get talked about too much because the capital T is real loud right now. But it goes, yeah, hand in hand. And if we're carrying, I mean, if you think back to the last two or three, four generations, they were all in that, weren't they? I mean, wasn't that kind of where most of our ancestors were in America
Yeah, exactly. And to really
or
look
the
at that,
world? I don't know, like as big as that as.
yes,
Yeah.
and that there are still places where like
Mm,
the poverty is
mm,
heartbreaking
mm,
because this world has the resources and
mm,
the knowledge and the technology. There should not be a single person on this planet that does not have clean
mm.
water and sanitation.
Yeah,
There is no reason except for the
greed.
people using their money
Mhm.
in a way that's external power
Mm. Yeah.
versus their internal power. And we it really be like, let's put another frame on abundance, expand that reference out a little bit more. When
Mhm.
we come from such a generative place to know that I am the power and the abundance flows through me, and I can create even more and even more and even more into this world around me from a place of, is it good for me? Is it good for the people around me? Is it good for all of humanity? Is it good for the world?
Mm.
It starts to become such an incredibly powerful generative energy that gives back,
Yeah.
that even more flows to us because it's flowing to us freely from a place of we're letting it flow freely. We're not trying to hoard it.
Yeah.
We're not trying to control
Mm.
other people through it.
Mhm.
Directing the flow with intention to do good. Oh, I'm directing money over there because I want more people to have clean water.
Yeah.
I'm directing money over there because I want people to have sanitation services. Right.
Mhm.
And that energy just flows even more to us in a
Mhm.
way that boggles our mind because our mind cannot ever start to comprehend the amount of the abundance that is willing to flow to us when we are actively creating from that energy.
Mm.
And we start to see it like, there's a flow. We are so scared oftentimes to give what we have to give because we're conditioned by lack and scarcity and we're gripping it. But when we learn that, oh, this act of kindness, which is what I have available to give right now in this moment,
Mm.
how many, like, what's the exponential ROI? Because I was really grateful for that human
Mm.
and that brightened their day. Like so many times I have been so present with the person checking me out at the grocery store and I'm like, how are you? How is your day? What are you looking forward to this evening? What's your week? And I'm just like, I'm with them. And I'm like, what's been the best part of your day? How many times somebody will say, this is the best part of my day right now?
Mm.
Because I took time to recognize there's another human,
Mm.
not just an automaton doing my checkout, right?
Yeah.
What does that do to send out into the rest of the world?
Mm.
That's a huge ROI. And when we are stuck in scarcity, that's one of the most beautiful ways to generate the flow. Go out and do random acts of kindness.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, you start to, because everything you give out comes back to you exponentially.
Mhm.
So it can be constriction and resentment and reactivity,
Mm.
or it can be kindness
Mm.
and a meal that you gave to somebody else that now somebody else is bringing to you. And
Mm.
that abundance truly is returning to us exponentially. But we have to initiate the cycle of giving and receiving.
Mm.
I feel like we just took a big tangent.
No, but it came back to creation. It really did. And like living from this place of creation, to me, I'm seeing this beautiful cycle of creation with the intention of abundance and then service. Because that to me, as especially in the last few years of harmony and just leaning completely into my passion without the money piece, And then all of a sudden it's like coming back in, and the energetic wealth that's coming back towards me of people saying like, wow, that class like shifted so much within me. Or, last night I was able to host a ceremony for a birthday of my girlfriend and have everybody share about her. And there was like tears and connection. And then the text this morning of just like how powerful and empowering that was. That to me is the abundance and the creation and the wealth. And yes, like, do I get to pay bills? For sure.
With gratitude. Thank
And
you.
yeah, thank you. Like, I have this space that I get to pay for. And yeah, just for it to come that full circle. So I just love that reclamation is these almost like bite-sized treats that we get to micro adjust in our every single moment and go like, because I know from my own practice, once that pattern starts getting in there, it's a lot easier to come back to an open heart and a trustworthy place and my oneness, take those breaths and go, but I'm safe right now. Right now, I'm taken care of. Right now, I'm healthy instead of the worry and the doubt and the fear and the lack and the shame taking over. It's like, oh, is that true? Come back to this exact moment and back to creation.
Exactly. And to recognize
Mm,
we let that fear-based story run us.
mhm,
That's what we're creating for our experience.
mm, mhm,
Just now, but like we actively are creating that into our experience.
mhm,
So it starts to become that mindfulness practice of where are my thoughts? What am I creating in my thoughts?
mhm,
I don't have the ability to create the thoughts I want right now. So I'm going to focus on breathing.
mhm,
I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to go to a yoga class with Nikki. I'm going to do something to
mhm.
bring me back into the present moment
Yeah.
where my power exists to actually create something different for
Mm,
my experience.
yeah. Hmm. Wow. I love just the idea of we are in that control because it has been outsourced for so long. Yeah.
And this is what I have the power to control.
Yeah.
What happens here, what happens here, what happens in this body,
Hmm.
and how I show up to create my life.
Yeah.
Like with just this beautiful capital S self responsibility
Mm.
and responsibility for all the stuff the little self has created that brought us to now.
Hmm.
Every experience,
Mm.
desired, undesired,
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
Thank you, self, for creating what you did so that my soul gets to learn.
Mm.
Now I'm in the present moment and this is where I am.
Yeah.
Now I have the opportunity in the present moment to create something new. And
Hmm.
now, what do I desire to create for my experience
Hmm.
with my breath, with my presence right now?
Hmm. Mm. Do you have a word or a trigger that gets you back to your breath when you are in that fight or flight? Or are you especially at the beginning of the practice?
Yeah, even now,
Mm.
just automatically the little voice inside of my head will be stop, breathe.
Nice. Just straight up.
Automatic.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole series. Like there's more things that come after that that we talk about in reclamation, but those are the first two.
Nice.
Stop. We've got to stop.
Mm.
Runaway fear train.
Hmm.
And we got to breathe back into the present moment.
Hmm.
Now we can reclaim our power. Now we can make new choices. We
Hmm.
can generate new choices
Hmm.
instead of living by reactivity and all the patterns of the past.
Yeah. What helps you, because this takes faith too, and we've talked about this in the last few weeks as we're building this program together and co-creating. There's some new levels and layers and for both of us. And you've mentioned a few times that you got to stop that pattern of overthinking and trying to control. What's that faith? What's that anchor that helps you stay really aligned with your intuitive voice and guidance?
I think this is going to be something also that as people start to explore it, it's the the relationship to yourself.
Mm.
I got to a place inside of myself that I started to really like, I had such a deep awareness of what I was creating for my day-to-day experience. And
Mm.
I drew a massive line in the sand. And I said, I will not participate in life like this anymore.
Mm.
This is my line. And I said, one of us is going down, little fucker, and it's not going to be me. That's what I call the ego self. And when I say that, I just want to really like contextualize that for me, where I'm at in relationship to the ego and their survival instinct. It's this kind of really loving, but also humorous relationship that I recognize it's shenanigans. And
Nice.
I'm just like, not today, little fucker, not today. Not gonna let you pull me into all of that. But it came through that commitment. And again, that faith.
Mm.
Faith is also this word that we all have to really come into our own experience and reference for what does faith mean to each of us.
Yeah.
Like when I really started to step into this journey around money, faith was the word showing up in my life. And a lot of this money journey for me was triggered by like I was to zero debt again, perfect credit score, bought myself the car I wanted, which was like a 3-month journey to get to the place where I could allow myself to buy the Audi that I wanted. And the car's name is Faith. And I'm like, I don't even know what this word means to me. Right. And that, like, that was just like the start of unraveling all of this stuff and
Mm.
to really come into an experience of understanding what faith means for me, faith in myself, faith in this infinite power that we all come from, that
Mm.
we're all part of, that we are all one with.
Mm.
And to really be in this journey of like the self, the capital S self discovery, like what the hell is this? And to start to have the relationship with true self, to
Mm.
say I'm not willing to participate in the patterns that have been running me on repeat for decades in my own life, but also generations in my family. It ends here. I'm done.
Mhm.
And to go through that journey, what is faith? Like we have to come into it for ourselves. Like I just kept learning to trust. And I'd had enough evidence stacked up in the past to show me like I can do this. And I got enough little nuggets from the universe, that like little breadcrumbs that is like Hansel and Gretel guiding me forward. And it was like, okay, she showed me. So just keep going. And sometimes it came with gripping fear, but the willingness to go straight through it. No
Mm.
more detours, no checking out, just like full presence. And
Mm.
that for me, that was the commitment
Mm.
that I was here for. I was totally unwilling to be run by that old conditioning anymore.
Mm.
It's like, this ends now. I'm done.
Oh,
And it was an unraveling. It was the holy unraveling.
still happening. Yeah.
And so to like, let me put that even in another context. Like I've been sitting in this experience of being in the eye of the needle, like this being a really kind of classic spiritual experience in our awakening process, coming to the eye of the needle, willing to shed absolutely everything that cannot come through.
Mm.
And I'm seeing these beautiful threads, like the holy unraveling took apart like the messy yarn knots and all the shit inside of me and like not the chaos, right? Unraveled the chaos.
Mm.
And now different threads are getting really intentionally threaded through that eye, and I'm literally weaving the tapestry of my future. And
Wow.
it is this incredible act of creation that I'm like, I get to experience what I unraveled over there and what's coming through and meeting me and getting created over here with such beautiful intention. And it's incredible and it's so powerful. And I'm like, I want everybody to get to have this experience.
Because it's possible.
Possible. And that's what we're here for on this journey.
Yeah.
Infinite beings having a human experience to actualize the self, or find the power within us, to know we are the power, nothing outside of us, especially not money. We are the power to create everything.
Mm, mic drop.
Mm.
I love that you said these crumbs because when you are aware and trusting, the signs and the synchronicities are just phenomenal. They fill you up and they're everywhere. And it seems silly at the beginning that these angel numbers give us guidance, but it does. Or like the other morning I saw Venus so bright in the sky and I thought it was the aliens and I was like, "Hi, we're peaceful. Come get us." Because it was just this like it looked like a spaceship. I literally had a moment outside at 5 in the morning. I was like, "Hello."
You probably saw a spaceship.
Probably it felt like that. Well, I came back, I pulled a card. I pulled Theta Va Venus. Theta Venus was my card, which was so interesting. Never pulled that card. And then I looked it up. I was like, what's the bright star in the sky right now? And it was Venus. So just those synchronicities and the message from Venus and that connection and the theta waves and getting into that. And that feels like a good moment to bring into fruition that, like, with a calm body and these big breaths that we're taking, and we're coming back home to the self and doing these practices that we know open our channel, that to me feels like that moment where we're going to get the opportunity to magnetize the creative desires and the abundance and even the ability to envision this new tapestry and trust it and have faith in it. All just feels like it beautifully weaves together, but with a stressed, overreactive, over controlling, loud ego mind, there isn't
And live
space
in our body.
in our body. Yeah. Yeah.
You up? What else?
No, that was it. Yeah. That was it. It's totally that where it's like, oh, open, trusting, faith, listening, or like, oh my God, it's not enough. I'm it,
Yeah.
all the whatever.
And like, what a beautiful bodily experience of the duality.
Duality. Yeah.
Ego, illusion, fear-based self
Yeah.
versus the open, loving, infinite creator.
Yeah. Is there a world where, because the ego is a part of us, right? And I love the conversation,
Serves a function,
serves a function.
survival.
Yeah, survival. Got it. And so talking to it, I know some people name theirs. Yours is little fucker, but I don't know. Some people's have names. And then having this dialogue with it, like maybe what do you need? Is there this opportunity to dance with it a little bit instead of, because to me I'm like, if I'm just totally shutting down my ego, making it wrong and bad all the time, that feels like a part of me that I'm suppressing.
Yeah. So there's a difference there, right? When
Mhm.
I'm saying little fucker, it's not coming from like the badness or the wrongness, right? Like we broke up with that in the patterning.
Yeah.
It's really like this kind of, for me, again, the little fucker is a term of endearment. Like, oh, I see your shenanigans.
Yeah.
You're not going to get me today.
Got it. Yeah.
And this is what I say about the ego. The ego is the animal inside of us geared towards survival.
Mm.
It has a 0-1 programming system.
Mm.
Am I alive? Yes, I got a one. Am
Mhm.
I dead? No, I got a zero.
Mm.
You cannot rationalize with it. You cannot be logical. You cannot have a conversation with it
Oh.
because its intention is survival.
Mm.
So, oh, hi, welcome to Reclaiming a Lot of Power. I
Mm.
don't talk to my ego.
Mhm.
I put it in its place.
Mm.
We talk a lot about that in Reclamation. There's like a really beautiful process we go through.
Sign me up.
And
Sign
people
me
are always
up.
like, "Oh, that's good." People,
That's
what was
good.
that
Yeah, yeah. Let's go over that again. That's beautiful. Because it is necessary,
again?
survival, obviously. And then it's that reminder of like, but I'm not actually in survival, usually. I mean, there may be a time when I'm out in the natures and being chased by a bear.
Exactly.
That's
And
the
that's
time.
Those are when there is truly something to fight or flee,
Yeah.
that's when I want that guy. I'm
Yeah.
like, motherfucker, come on, let's go. Now's your time. Let's go.
You're my best friend.
Exactly.
Got
But
it. Yeah.
we have that relationship to it that its job is survival. It's
Yeah.
an animal. Your job is survival.
And is there a mix up or a confusion in where we're at now, where we're feeling like that pile of emails is putting me in survival mode, or that lack of money is putting me in survival mode? Is that the pattern that we're going into that and we get to repattern that that's actually not what's happening? Okay,
Exactly.
nice.
We have the higher mind to actually control our nervous system.
Mm,
We are the only living creature that we are aware of on planet Earth. I wouldn't doubt that other animals already do this,
the dolphins
and the whales,
and
and
the whales.
right, we have the higher mind. So we shut it down. We shut down our nervous system. We get stuck in fight or flight versus shaking things off. Oh, that instinctive hit of adrenaline and fear, I don't have to hold it in my body. An animal experiences that fear and then they literally shake it out and then it's gone. Their body's not keeping the score, but ours is. And so, how much have we stored in our body because we haven't let it go? And
Mm,
again, that's part of the spiritual journey is I don't have to resolve anything in the past.
mm,
I've got to breathe through it and let it go. Energetically, I'm letting it go. My
mm.
mind, I'm letting it go.
Resolve.
We cannot resolve what's already done.
Oh, I love that. Write that one down.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Channel that energy
exactly.
forward. Channel it into what's creation.
So, in money reclamation, there's a lot of stuff we're going to be doing around looking at our bodies, understanding the patterning,
Mm,
looking through things,
mhm.
practicing stuff around language, encoding ourselves, all sorts of good juicy things.
Yay, 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 yay. We've just started doing more shaking at Harmony. And I just have felt like a natural call, we'll do some movement. And then when we finally get up, it's just like, close your eyes, let it all. And people are like, at first, I could tell my new members are like, and then people that have been in there are just like, there we're humming it out, we're sighing it out, it's this discharge of energy that's just been so pent up. And where else do we have the ability to do that unless it's been shown to us? But to look to nature for that guidance, man, that has been a powerful part of the practice for sure. So thank you for bringing that up because it's so huge. Move the body.
Body.
Hmm.
And
So once we have reclaimed money, we are there. What unfolds? What does that journey look like? Like, can we just give a little, start painting that tapestry?
yeah, well, let's actually have everybody tap into that tapestry for themselves.
Yeah.
What is it like when you're the power with money and not money having the power?
Mm,
Like, and some people are going to be like, I have absolutely no idea. I have no reference for this. I've never experienced this.
mm,
And that is totally perfect for your journey,
mhm,
right? Oh, that's where you are.
mhm,
That's great. That's good feedback. We know where you're starting from. We can't tell the Uber driver where we want to go, and they can't get us there until they know where we're at. We have to understand where we're at.
mm,
So I'm going to give my own frame. Let me pull this out a little bit more, right? What do we want that experience to be when I'm the master and the creator of my life and not money?
mm,
What is that experience like? Right? Sometimes we might hear the question like if money were not an issue. I can't tell you how many times I tried to answer that question and I couldn't answer that question because of my experience,
Mm,
right?
mhm,
Didn't feel like I had power with money. So the more we're starting to like recognize what is your current experience of money, if we ask questions about your future experience with money, you may not be able to tap into it because your current frame is so conditioned by scarcity, lack. Can I pay my bills? I have bills that are past due. I'm in debt. I've declared bankruptcy. Whatever the experience is, like I had a woman who came to Reclamation this past weekend who just had her car repossessed.
mm,
And here she is, like showing up, like working magic to get to the workshop because she knew she needed it. And it's like, oh, hi, welcome to what's happening right now. And that these things with money, they don't have to mean anything about us.
mm,
We're reclaiming the meaning.
mm,
We're starting to recognize this is my map. Okay, what's my map? When I started to get clarity on my map, here's what happened for me. I would say I have a good relationship with money, but nothing inside of my body was congruent with that statement. And I
mm,
was like, that's interesting. I have a good, and then I would say I have integrity with money, which felt true, but still felt like constricted and weird.
mm,
But the real thing that got my attention was I had a friend who was leading these peace with money meditations. And the
mm,
first time she did it, I love meditating. I love guided meditations. I love her meditations. I got up and walked away and did something else. And I would just like reflected. I'm like, that was interesting. Okay. A couple weeks later, she's doing it again. I'm like, okay. And I'm sitting here and I cannot comprehend a single word she's saying to me. Even though she's speaking English, nothing she was saying made sense to me because I didn't have that reference in my body.
mm,
My body's going like, does not compute, does not compute, does not right. Like it's trying to enter code and it's just not code that works in this system. It's like trying to put HTML into JavaScript or something. It doesn't work. And so I was like, okay, that was really interesting. And then the third time she led a peace with money meditation, I was able to just stay really present with myself and to really understand, oh my God, I can't put the words peace and money in the same sentence.
mm,
They don't go together. And that started to really show me
mm,
and started to become my map of where I was.
mm,
And as I navigated more along my journey, I knew that I had fear of not enough.
mm,
I was aware of that, but it was actually like way bigger than just like the word fear. So to us also understand every one of us has a different way of relating to fear. How big is the fear? At
mm,
the core of my fear of money, the experience was outright terror. Absolutely. Like I found the child inside of me trembling in terror,
mm,
just like waiting for somebody to come and be like, you don't have to have this experience anymore.
mm,
That was like years of work to get to that.
mm,
So just like we have to be willing to work with ourselves exactly where we are. That's the only place we can transform the experience that we have in any area of our life, and especially in
mm,
the area of money, right? And again, like what I teach in reclamation is applicable to every area of life. We're just focusing on money
mm,
because of how much we have outsourced our power to it.
yeah,
And our body has our money map. We
mm,
just have to learn to listen to it. And so we're going to learn to listen to it. We're going to learn to like explore it and start to decode it and deprogram it
mm,
and encode it and program it with some things that start to work for us and with us so
mm,
we can have more of that abundance and
mm.
creation.
Yeah. I love so much about that. It's like owning right where you're at, meet yourself right where you're at. And it's been true in my experience with just any layers of the work where I could read a book once and go, what? And then pick it up a few years later and go, okay, it's starting, it's like that. It's the wheel turning. So I would say for somebody, if money is a trigger, and that can be the experience that you start with and get curious, like why? Because I think it can go both ways too. Like you might have grown up with lots of money and there's still a definition that comes behind that. There's still a control because you want to keep lots of money, most likely. Maybe there's even though there's a big number in the bank account, maybe there's still a scarcity or a lack because you don't want that to go away. I think it can go on both sides.
It,
Um, and
and
that's still the reclamation of the power.
exactly. And to look at that, oftentimes we have linked money and safety together.
Mm.
I think safety is survival. And these things have nothing to do with each other.
Wow.
Safety is part of our power.
Hmm.
It's being safe within our mind. I know I'm safe in my power to create really consciously and intentionally
Mm.
because I have let go of the little fucker. He doesn't run my life anymore, right?
Mhm.
So there's this disconnecting these things, right? We disconnect safety and money. We disconnect worth and wealth. We're
Mm.
starting to like, oh, these things don't actually
Wow.
go together. And to really recognize it absolutely does not matter how much money we have. We
Mm.
all have a money experience.
Mm.
And I have worked with women who have built multi-million-dollar businesses that they sell and have built like a dozen of them who have incredible wealth. And I asked them, I'm like, what number in your bank account is going to allow you to feel safe? And they're like, I haven't found it yet because it's not linked to
Oh, wow.
to their power and
Mm.
their ability to be right here
Hmm.
in their higher self,
Hmm.
not run by the patterns of the past and survive.
Mm.
So, I mean, I present this all the time, and I'm always amazed at who shows up with a lot of money and no money, and
Yeah.
and right, like
Yeah.
it's just normalizing the money conversation
Yeah.
because we all have an experience.
Yeah.
The same way we have an experience of having a human body, especially a female body.
Yeah.
And the more we talk about our experience of our body, the more we normalize it and the more we reclaim our power to love this beautiful, perfect creation. Holy shit. You're
Yeah.
wow.
Literal magic going on within all of our bodies. Every human body is just so magic. It's amazing. Yeah. I'm feeling called to go all the way back to how this conversation between you and I began. And it was that when we were presenting the reclamation. So initially, we were going to do a 2-day workshop at Harmony and do reclamation. And we were so excited. And we started talking about price. And you're like, I'm on a sliding scale. And I was like, what does that mean? And how does that work? Like, how do you make that work? And so it initially brought up the money conversation. And so, can we lean into that a little and just talk about how that sliding scale works for you and why this is the basis of that and how that initially reclaims the power before you're basically committing to yourself before you've even gotten to the workshop. And I find that that's so beautiful because the practice has begun in that moment.
And I'm going to reframe the
Hmm.
language from sliding scale. Like there's
Okay.
a lot of energy around sliding scale.
Hmm.
And I intentionally haven't ever used that. So reclamation as the 2-day workshop has been a contribution based model.
Mm, yes.
First was very clear that the creation gets to be the creation and money is a byproduct.
Mm,
One's
nice.
allowed to set a price or determine the value of
Mm,
it,
yeah.
right? And that invited people into a new conversation. And that's how the workshop starts. We talk about value. We talk about what came up for people as they're coming into this. Are they going to show up for themselves? Are
Mm.
they going to get an ROI by utilizing what they learn.
Mhm.
And so I had to unravel so much of my own stuff too, because for years the universe was like, you need to allow it to be easy for people to give you money. And I was like, oh God, what you want people to just give me money? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Right? Like I was terrified.
Yeah.
And it really got to like grow myself into this experience of
Mm,
I'm doing what I'm here to do. I'm being of service in the way this is coming through me, and money's a byproduct, and just leaning into that trust and leaning into that trust. Here's the faith. Here's the faith that I get to give before I receive,
mm,
right? And that every time I did reclamation, it just continued to expand. And there was a pattern in people's giving.
mm,
And it was really a beautiful experience. So I got to see kind of like, oh, people were giving like 250 to 1,000 for something that I wasn't even asking for money. Like I said, it's not free, but the contribution is up to you.
mm,
So it really started to give me this template.
mm,
So as we moved into, okay, now we're having a retreat
mhm.
that has overhead expenses, there has to be some sort of baseline,
Yeah.
right? And so this comes through now what is being called activation points. Right?
Mm,
So to look at it from that place. So Nikki, I want to bring it back to the conversation that you and I had.
mhm.
Right? You said really, do you remember what you said to me about reading the contribution based model and what it brought up inside of you?
Remind me.
Well, talk through your experience again of like the contribution based model, what it brought up inside of you. What was your experience going like,
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the model that I live in today, it's like you set a price and then you get to design your what you're going to gift as the value, which is like a really interesting, it's almost like keeping us small and a control factor of like, okay, now I get to create $222 worth of value, or I get to create, oh my God, 222, like that to me is an interesting thing when it could actually be the same content. So when I saw that there was an array of options for how much they were able to pay, um,
and
I
the
thought like, why wouldn't somebody just pay the least?
Mhm.
And in my experience, when for me, for example, there's like a donation class, it's like, well, I can pay 40, but do I want to pay 15? And then that's that piece where it's like, whoa, what's in control here?
Yes, what's in control? What has the power?
Yeah.
Where are we putting the power in that moment?
Lack of abundance.
Yeah,
Being like hoarding in, like, well, I do have $40, but if I can just give you 15 and still get the same experience, and you're presenting like gift the 40 and really lean in, and that experience comes back in the exchange of energy, not the $40.
yeah. It
Yeah.
could come back to you as an exponential increase,
Sure. Right.
right? So to break this down too, I really looking at the language we use. Like traditional sales uses this like, what's the value? What's the
Mhm.
price? What's the fee? What's the cost?
Mhm.
As soon as we put the word cost in, what does that trigger inside of us?
Mhm.
Oh, it's going to cost me something. I lose something. You're
Mhm.
not losing anything here. You're getting more of you,
Mhm.
right? You're not paying to participate in reclamation. You're
Mhm.
investing in yourself for what you want to receive from
Mhm.
reclamation
Yeah.
and starting to notice what that does energetically inside of you.
Mhm.
What am I willing to invest in myself to participate in this experience? And
Mhm.
how willing am I to show up for myself to receive an exponential return on my investment?
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm the only one that has the power to make that decision.
Mhm.
And all the other decisions that show I'm getting my ROI,
Mhm.
I cannot give that to anybody.
Mhm.
We have to actualize that for ourselves.
Mm,
And like self responsibility is such a beautiful gift we give ourselves and each other. And
mm,
so this experience, like when we had this conversation, you were like, what's this contribution base? Like, oh, I don't understand this. Like, it's super, I was like,
mhm,
right? Because all of a sudden I was giving you your power back.
mhm,
You have the power to make this decision. And
mhm,
to even frame this out on that reclamation offer page, the invitation into the workshop, it outlined the contribution based model, how we also show up for in service and to be generative in the energy and to be a contribution.
mhm,
I called people out on, are you taking, are you showing up to take what you can get? Because that's the ego driving you, that's scarcity driving you.
mhm,
Versus, how can I show up to be a contribution to myself and everybody here?
mhm,
How can I show up to be a contribution for what I'm receiving and how that flows back into the world around me?
mhm,
Leaving reclamation,
mhm,
right? To really start, because this is the mirror for our power. How
mhm,
have we been wielding our power through external control? What can I take? What can I get? What can I hoard? What can I hold on to? How much can I try to extract?
mhm,
Versus how much can I give? How much can I be here for myself? How much can I give to myself and this event in order to have this exponential return come from within me by that activation point that I choose for myself and my future?
mhm,
That's a very different
mhm,
way to be in this experience of like, not mine.
mhm,
My responsibility is to cover the base expenses,
mhm,
having overhead for this retreat,
mhm,
and trusting that the overflow will come from the women who show up, owning that very first choice of reclaiming their power by choosing the activation point that's right for them and what they're stepping into. And like we feel it. I'm not saying go like beyond your edge. I'm asking you to come to your edge
mhm,
and own it.
mhm,
Or maybe step a little bit beyond it or breathe through it,
mhm,
but don't shy away from it. And if, I will tell you this too, if you're finding yourself reading that and getting super triggered, oh, that's a definite good reason to come.
yeah.
You will get so much value.
That is the activation.
That is the activation. Oh shit, all of my money stuff is triggered right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on in. We have loving, embracing, compassionate energy to
Yeah.
hold this experience.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to put in here real quick too, Nikki, like learning to be in this exchange that I'm the activator through what I have to give and I trust that the money flows from that experience. I have people that will randomly Venmo me months later being like, here's some extra money for what I've received from reclamation.
Wow. Yeah.
I never expected that.
Yeah.
And it just touches my heart so deeply because I'm like, thank you for showing up for you so I could give you what I had to give.
Yeah. Wow. And
That's a
that emotion says it all.
it's a really incredible experience to have.
That's the abundance.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
You're
I think it takes a level of detachment too, of not like, I'm buying this, so I'm getting this. And if I don't get this, then I'm mad that I bought this. Like that to me. And also for me, it's like, is the person on the other end going to judge how much I invested? You know, like there's that, like, for me, there's that little inkling of people pleaser and going like, oh, if I just do the bottom amount, is she gonna treat me different or is it gonna feel different or is there gonna be that judgment and then going like, whoa, that's within.
yeah, exactly.
And that's a whole other activation of this relationship of money. Like truly it's a relationship at the end of the day. And wouldn't we want it to be the most healthy relationship that we could have so that when a Venmo comes in months later and we're just like in awe to the point of emotion, that to me is the deepest form of building a strong relationship with this one tangent or one piece of our life, but like all the other pieces follow suit.
And again, this way we're using money as the mirror
Yeah.
because it's such a powerful mirror for our relationship to ourself and our power
Yeah. And our worthiness.
and our value and how much we think we matter,
Yeah.
our ability to create
Mm,
versus the need to sell our soul in
yeah.
order to.
Yeah. Or be buttoned down to this little small, like you're worth this much every hour. Like, wow, think of what that's done to our human psyche and our confidence and our ability to speak our truth and live authentically and vulnerably. If you're like, well, I'm only worth this, how am I going to really design and feel confident enough to create this and go bigger?
Exactly.
Mm. Well, is there anything else that you feel like our listeners should know about this upcoming retreat? I mean, obviously we can share the details and that piece of it, but just this investment in self and awakening the self and the activation points. And is there anything else on your heart?
I think we did a really beautiful job kind of covering all of that.
Mhm.
I think it's important to know like there's options to stay overnight and to really
Mm,
just like fully immerse yourself in the experience of Bella Vista.
mm,
There's also the options to just come for the day and to
mhm,
know that whatever you choose is exactly perfect for you,
mm,
right? There's no difference.
mm.
It's you come for what you are a yes to. You come for your alignment.
Yeah.
We meet you exactly where you're at because that's the only place I can meet you.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, that's where you are, and that's what you are, and that's where okay, great.
Yeah.
Right? Right. And to really speak to that aspect too, Nikki, the activation point, your experience, even like reading through the activation point, hearing what I'm saying now, hearing us talk about it, what is it bringing up?
Mm,
What is she going to think? Oh, oh, the people pleaser, right? All of that is feedback. Yes, invite it all
mm,
because that's where this relationship and this retreat start.
mhm,
It's from the present moment of how am I? How all this stuff is coming up. Okay, write it all down and bring it to the retreat
mm,
because this
mm,
is where you're at right now. And it becomes this beautiful map and helps guide what you're individually going to receive from the retreat.
mm,
Not awareness to be like, oh, I noticed that people pleaser wanted to do this, and I noticed that I really wanted this option, but I didn't feel it's possible.
mm,
Oh, and I noticed where the taker in me wanted to just do this option, but oh, great.
mm,
Like, thank you for being so present and aware and honest with yourself
mm,
because that's what matters here is
mhm,
our ability to be honest with what our own experience is because that's all the feedback that's telling us what the programming is running us. That shows us all the places we get to reclaim our power. Well, let's dig them all out.
yeah. Bring them to us.
Bring them to you so we
Yeah.
can be like,
Yeah.
oh, spotlight of awareness.
Yeah.
You're ready to change that? You're ready to transform that? Are you ready to have more of the experience you would like to have with money
Mm,
and yourself?
yes. Yeah, and what I'm imagining is no matter what seat you are in the train, we all get to the destination, right? And once we're at the destination, wherever that may be, it's like we're all there.
Yeah.
So no matter what your seat looked like or your commitment or your investment looked like, we'll still all arrive at that destination in the same place as far as the openness and we're in the human experience, I guess is what I'm saying. It doesn't necessarily matter what you're wearing. Like I'm really starting to examine life on like these layers that we wear because somebody could like dress so nicely and be really, really struggling with money. And somebody you would never know has all this money doesn't look like, like these are just layers to the facade and to the human design that we're creating. But I can just imagine that in reclamation, we're all just there, heart open, here's our stuff. And where else in life do we get that opportunity to sit in ceremony, to sit in this safe space amongst each other and go like, wow, yeah, I people please too. And I am like, that's where I'm ready to reclaim that. And I'm ready to reclaim this piece. And I'm ready to not have this be a power over me or generationally being stuck in lack, like all these pieces. And like you started out with, that's where we all relate. And that to me is the power of sharing. Like that's it. That's it.
Exactly. That's it. Oh, hi, human. Oh,
Mhm.
you're having a human experience too? Oh, your human experience is fascinating. Oh, I see some of my human experience in your human experience. Wow.
How do we grow through it? How do we support each other? How do we see just sometimes being seen, heard, felt, loved in that depth of the darkness? Like that to me, I see people just burst wide open and go, I'm like, oh my God, I'm not alone. I don't have to hide this. I don't have to be ashamed of this because you too. Holy shit. Thank you. Wow. That is worth $1 million.
And to bring the conversation, to shine the light on money,
Oh, yeah.
help normalize our experience.
Mm,
Yeah. Hi. So many of us, no matter the amount of money we have,
mhm,
feel stuff around money. That is not what we want to experience.
mhm. Touch,
And
create.
normalize it and
Mm,
work with it and evolve it and
mm.
come into this beautiful new state of creation.
Yes. Woo! June 19th through the 22nd. We will be at Bella Vista Estates and Steamboat, Colorado. Oh my gosh, this place is stunning.
And special shout out to the owners for
Yeah.
welcoming us into
Yes.
this space,
Mm.
this magic there,
We already have some enrollees, some commitments,
right?
initiations, some activations. I had multiple conversations today. There's a buzz, and I'm so excited. I'm so
Such a
excited.
buzz.
And we'll
Yeah.
be doing some Zoom lives.
We're going to do a couple of Zooms, so stay tuned for those. And we also have a special in-person evening event at Harmony on, is that May 30th, the last Friday in May?
Yep.
And
Yep.
that'll be a really lovely drop-in experience. So highly encourage you to come and join us for that, for the Zooms and or the in-person, all of them.
Yeah.
Just like be in the energy of it, like feel your way into it and let it start to
Mm,
help you navigate your money reclamation.
yes.
And then we also have a special bonus, like a early enrollment bonus. You want to
Mhm.
think about that, Nikki?
Yeah, early enrollment bonus is our what's our deadline? This week,
Is it the 13th?
the 13th.
Yes.
Yeah, so early enrollment gives you a bonus day, which
Yeah.
is so incredible. So you have the bonus day early Thursday, and then a bonus day Sunday to hang out at Bella Vista, enjoy the pool, the view, just I
Integrate.
consider that to be this like embodiment of it, just to allow yourself to be in it. And we do plan on having some integration after. So we'll have a connection point after. So we're not just leaving you flailing out there to help remind. I think that's such an important part. Like, remember when, and what's that mantra, and what's your practice, and did you take a deep breath? And is your little fucker taking over? Like, here we go. Come back home. Yeah, so just having these touch points and these connections is really important to us in designing this program because I know that I drink the juice in certain programs. I'm so pumped and then they like turn you back into the wolves and you're like, "Oh, oh gosh. Now what?
We're turning you back to your little self.
A little self.
Really, like here we're turning towards our higher self here.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Keeps
keeping
us
those
different.
higher, very different. Yeah. Very good experience though to awaken that higher self and keep that growing into fruition where we're like, oh yeah, I remember when, and we'll have, we'll have email connections. And I have no doubt that there will be, I mean, you're sharing reclamation of money in general, but I have no doubt there will be more co-creations but this is a big one.
It's a big one.
Right.
And I want to say one final thing here too about Bella Vista.
Mm,
Like there is something really magical that happens when we are working through our money stuff in
mm,
an environment like Bella Vista.
mm,
It's an unconscious neurological exposure to wealth,
mm,
possibility, to
mm,
abundance,
mhm,
right? There's something so much more powerful about money reclamation happening at an environment like this
mm,
that's truly energetically aligned to the core of this retreat and these teachings.
mm,
An exponential ROI
mm.
versus like, yeah, it still would be amazing at Harmony. And it was like, when Nikki said, hey, do you want to do this? Everything inside of me was like, oh God. And the little voice was like, just say yes.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, they are really synergistic. Like it's a beautiful relationship that just starts to evolve your relationship with you and money and yourself even more. So
Mm. And surrounded in the abundance of nature, being able to ground our energy, that container, especially if you're staying the night, you're like in it, you're saturated in it, you're living, breathing, eating it for a few days, and that's true transformation. It's going to be really powerful.
we
Mm.
get to be immersed, immersed and
Activation.
doing coding. Yes,
Yeah.
universe. Thank you, universe.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for spending time with me.
Thank you, Nikki. And so we'll drop the URL
Mhm.
in the
Yep.
show notes.
Down below somewhere in the thing, the HTMLs or whatever goes on.
Comments and your likes, give it the thumbs
Subscribe.
up, subscribe, do all the things.
Yep, we'll put all the links, all the things, and just make sure that you have the ability to contact us and ask questions. But if your little voice, your higher self is saying yes,
If
lift.
you feel like the even like the lean in, but the hesitation, lean
Hmm.
in.
Yeah,
That's your edge, lean in.
the time is now, like truly. Yeah.
And again, you're the only one with the power to choose you, to choose to reclaim your power, to choose to create the experience you desire to have
Yeah.
in all of life with money, with your body, with relationships.
Yeah.
This relationship and this reclamation
Yeah.
incredible toolkit to just transform your world.
Mm, yeah. Buckle up.
That's right. We're blasting off.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you to everybody who has taken their time, their energy, and their presence to listen to this.
Mhm. Here we grow
And glow.
and glow and grow. See you soon. Love you. Bye.